I love G. I think he's told us the real truth about the Deshaun Watson trade 83 times.
That is true, the real truth.
I wonder what the real truth of the real truths are. Speaking of the real truths, Bo, you were in Erie this weekend, right? That's where Lake County plays?
Erie? That's
East
Pennsylvania.
Eastlake, sorry. Eastlake. I know.
I was in Eastlake, Ohio. It's not that
far away. You were in
Eastlake.
My bad. Brain fart. You saw Steven Kwan and Tugboat with the captains.
I did.
You could give us the whole – we're going to talk about Tyler Freeman, where he fits in the lineup when Kwan returns, after you tell us about your experience at the Lake County Captains game.
So first I'll talk about on the field. I went to the game to see – I mean, I was taking my son and his buddy to – I wanted to take them to a minor league game so they get a good view up close. But I really wanted to see Steven Kwan, and it was good to see him. He led off for the captains. He played – I want to say they pulled him in the top – I can't remember now if they pulled him in the top of the 6th or the 7th. I think they pulled him in the top of the 7th. But he got 3 at-bats. His first at-bat, hard ground out to first base. His second at-bat, he popped out to left field. But his third at-bat, he absolutely smoked one. As I think this is it, right? Yeah, this is it.
That's the home run, correct.
He smoked one to right center field. It was a 3-run shot. It actually gave the captains the lead. You'll see them when he scores. They were going crazy, even though it's minor leagues. These guys still want to win. They were pretty pumped. They blew the lead the next half inning, by the way, and then they came back and won. But this ball was a bolt, Jason, off his bat. And while I didn't get to see Kwan run the bases because he was out his first 2 times and homered his third time, so there was no, real base stealing.
Yeah.
He had to hustle it out of the box for his first at bat because he grounded out the first, and there was a chance he could beat it out. Not likely, but a chance. So he was hustling down the first, and he played left field in that game. I know he DH'd Sunday. I wasn't at that game, and he didn't have a lot of action in left field, but he looked fine. I didn't see there was no
limps or
nothing to me that I noticed in terms of a limp or anything.
Well, he wouldn't be out there on the field if he's limping.
Yeah, well, that's true. Fair point. Now, with a hamstring, as you know better than anybody, Tyvis, that can go, a lot of times a player feels totally better, and then the first time he really busts it, he pulls it again. Once you pull your hamstring, it's always more vulnerable for the time, for a while going forward. But everything I saw Saturday looked great. Kwan was great with the fans. The place was packed. I'm sure it's usually pretty empty there. It was packed because everybody wanted to see Steven Kwan play, and he did. And the home run was he just smoked that ball.
Well, the good news about this situation is the Guardians have been playing fine, so it's
better than fine. They've been playing great.
Yeah. You ain't got to rush it. He don't need to rush to get back if he's not 100% ready.
Right.
Yet. And they don't have to. Kwan, we need you to hurry up. That don't have to be the thing. It can be truly, how do you feel? Do you feel good? All right, when you take off, do you feel any tweaks? No. All right, cool. And then we can ease him back into this lineup. But if you saying right now that he was able to run around and he was fine in the left field and stuff like that, only thing that I question is when he makes contact, getting down to first base, and if he feels good after that, is he still confident he can make those steals?
Right, busting it out of the box, stealing bases, running the bases. We didn't see that. I can't remember. I can't remember Sunday what he did, but I mean I
think he had 1 hit Sunday.
Okay, well he was off yesterday, and then today and tomorrow he's playing for Columbus. He'll be off Thursday because both Columbus and the Guardians are off Thursday, and then the Guardians come home and have a series this weekend with the Nationals. So I would assume he'll be back in the lineup on Friday against Washington. That's my assumption.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
And I thought he'd be ready even after just a couple of games in Lake County.
But
I get it.
But as Tyvis said, they're playing great. Maybe they don't want to rush him. Maybe they don't want to throw him on a plane for 3 hours.
Well, there's a bit of a difference between high A pitching and major league pitching. So you probably want to get him at least a couple at bats of Triple A pitching. So that part of it makes sense.
And the Nationals are like Triple A.
So what do you think Stephen Vogt does with Tyler Freeman in the lineup when Kwan returns? Because since taking over the leadoff spot, and Stevie, take this graphic full, he's had 13 games in the leadoff spot. He's hitting .333, 6 doubles, 8 RBIs, on-base percentage of nearly 440. He's been really impressive since being moved into the leadoff spot. That's obviously where Kwan has been maybe as good as any player in baseball from the leadoff spot.
Kwan's the leadoff hitter. There's no discussion.
So what do you do with Tyler Freeman?
I think they're going to move him lower in the lineup. But when I say lower, like towards the bottom, I don't know that I wouldn't consider batting him too.
I've said all year I think he should be batting second. I like him.
Ain't Jimenez second?
Jimmy can move around, and I do like Jimenez up toward the top of the order.
Yeah.
But there's only so many spots to go around, and Jose's not batting lower than 3.
No.
So it is what it is.
I don't know. If you put Freeman 2, put Jimenez in the 5 spot behind Naylor, it lengthens out the lineup a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you get Bichette, then you're really lengthening the lineup.
Then Bichette's 5.
Then Bichette's 5.
Bichette's also a righty, by the way, which one thing we missed in that whole conversation.
Yeah.
It's a righty power bat, which they don't have.
Which they could use. Now, I talked about this with Zach yesterday. He doesn't think there's any chance Bo Naylor's going to the minors, no matter how much he struggles offensively. It's funny that he's all of a sudden become this elite pitch framer, which you never thought of him for his defense, and he struggled with blocking balls early in the year, and they're like, we don't want to mess with it because he's helping the pitchers. So they're not going to send him down even with the struggles. But he did have 2 hits yesterday. Maybe he can get going offensively.
Yeah.
We'll see. Obviously, David Fry's done a great job.
He's got Sandy Alomar, Austin Hedges, and Stephen Vogt to tutor him. He better be good defensively.
Right.
I mean, not that Vogt was an elite defensive catcher, but still, someone who played the position.
Right.
He better be.
Yeah, but I think the idea of Freeman batting 2 and lengthening some of the proven hitters.
I like him as
a good idea.
I think Tyler Freeman. I know he's not there yet, but I think he'll be a career 280 hitter. He's a guy who just rolls out of bed and puts the bat on the ball, knows how to barrel the ball. I think he's an ideal number 2 hitter in baseball. He's sort of a throwback, old school number 2 hitter, not a ton of power.
You know who he's like?
But a great hit and run guy.
You know who I thought of when you were saying that, and then you said old school? Remember Tom Herr from the St. Louis Cardinals?
I do, yeah.
He had one year had 100 RBIs
with 4 home runs or 5 home runs.
I think it was a little more than that, but I don't even think it was 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was you had Vince Coleman leading off.
Yep.
And then you had Tom Herr. Then you had I think Lonnie Smith would hit third. Jack Clark would back clean up. So
question about the shortstop.
Yeah.
Who's the better hitter, Gabby or Rocchio?
I mean, neither right now. But I still think it's Arias. I still think Arias is the better player all the way around. I know there's very little evidence of that right now. It's in there. I know it's in there. I don't know if it'll ever come out, but it's in there.
I have no interest in watching either of them play right now.
I know it's frustrating.
You know who you sound like? Me with Elijah Moore last year football. Sitting there, I seen it. Yeah. I seen it. I'm telling y'all.
Honestly,
Arias has an electric bat and a cannon for an arm, but he just can't ever put it together. And when you got in-house media being critical of his preparation and some of the plays that he makes, that's when you really go, oh boy, this guy's on thin ice. But it's in there. And there was a time where he was the guy. He was above.
You might believe him more than him right now.
Well,
if they could get the way Freeman's playing, if they can get Naylor going and make a trade for Bichette or another proven shortstop, Will Brennan's fine against righties in right field.
Silly Willie.
I don't love him, but it is what it is. You're not going to fill all your holes.
You can't fill all your holes. I can live with it. With David Fry filling the gaps.
That's my boy.
Some at catcher, some at DH, some at first base, some in the outfield.
Yeah. It's incredible how versatile he is. How many catcher/outfield combinations do you see?
That's the
exactly.
That's my
and he
MVP
continues to get on
there.
base. They had a stat on the broadcast. Was it yesterday? I can't remember now if it was yesterday or the day before. They had a stat on the broadcast about his on-base percentage at this point in the season being over 500.
Mm-hmm.
And he's only, I think, the 4th Guardians player ever.
I saw that. Yeah, it was like him, Jim Tomey,
right.
and like
it was
2
all great
people.
players.
Yeah.
This deep into the season, it's really incredible.
No, it was like his first 114 plate appearances or something
whatever
like that.
the number was. Yeah, that's what it was. And it's been remarkable, and you got to find him at bats.
Yeah.
What's your gut reaction?
Yeah.
Do the Guardians make a trade at the deadline?
Yes.
I think they will. Now, they will make a trade. Will they make one as big as we want them to? I don't know. But they'll do something.
If they do, you should really get excited because it's a signal that the front office believes in this. Because as you mentioned, the last few years they've sat idle or even sold because they'll tell you without telling you how they really feel about the roster and where they are in the contention window. If they push the button on a deal like they did in 2016, get excited because that means that everybody in the organization believes that
they owe it to the fans, they owe it to the players, they owe it to the manager who's done such a great job.
Yeah. And by the way, like we haven't mentioned this at all. Terry Francona was one of the highest paid managers in the game. I think he may have been the highest paid manager.
Right. Stephen
Vogt is not.
No.
So that's
they got some more dollars.
That's some money in the couch right there that you can go make a move with.
That's true.
And they did cut the payroll, and I don't want to get into it now, but Major League Baseball supplements a decent
That's right.
chunk.
They have money to spend.
Yes.
And nobody's asking them to spend $50 million.
Right.
We're asking them to spend $10, $20 million. And that's not crazy.
And it's pro